ITV, under its new chief executive, is out to show it's back in the profit business. Today it reported a £97 million profit for the first 6 months of the year, largely due to a rally in advertising revenue. Adam Crozier insists it should not disguise the need for substantial change at the broadcaster. And one big change will be paying for programmes. Not all programmes yet, but offerings on HD on ITV 2, 3 and 4, which will be aired through Sky. But will people really stump up? Here's Stephen Smith.
I just wondered if any of you don't have to, but would any of you be willing to chip in?
Absolutely.
To keep Newsnight on the air?
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah? Because of the unique way the BBC is funded, and thanks very much for that, by the way, it really is appreciated, I don't really have to take the tin round for Newsnight. Well, not yet. How much would you pay for Newsnight, do you think? 10p?
Well, however often I watch it, probably about 50p.
That's very generous.
I know, I just pride myself in my generosity.
God bless you. But some media watchers believe the future is pay TV for the BBC and everyone else, and that those who don't get on board are running a huge risk of complete and total... Oh no. I guess I'll have to pinch another penny from Cricky's tips jar. In a window into tomorrow over at ITV, the broadcasters announced it'll be offering several new high-definition channels as part of a subscription-only package. The network's boss wasn't available for interview today, but we did extrude some pictures of him from the web.
The growth, as you will all know, in the markets really come from pay TV, subscription, and from global international content. And we've singularly failed to equip ourselves to compete in those marketplaces.
ITV is a sunset industry because all these trends towards fragmentation of viewing, lots of choice, more channels, more control over when we view things, fewer people are going to tune into these big mass market programs. So big mass market audiences will decline, and ITV's ability to price those airtime spots at a premium will also decline.
So if you're a fan of ITV's Dancing on Ice and you want to see every sequin in HD, and let's face it, who doesn't, you'll have to shell out for one of the new packages. What else do people enjoy watching so much they'd be prepared to pay for it? Could we have a quick word for the BBC?
Sorry.
No?
I'd probably lash out for movie channels, something like that, or maybe documentaries, those sorts of things.
No, don't. Just have a free view box and we don't pay for anything. So it's, I think we're of the view that it's ample for us, really, just the free view television, so we don't pay any.
Can you see yourself forking out for any type of programmes?
No.
Not Sherlock?
No.
Not Top Gear?
No, definitely not Top Gear.
Now, would you pay per view to watch Newsnight on BBC Two or not?
I would always pay to watch Newsnight.
God bless you. And we're not related, are we, sir?
We're not, no.
No. Are we going to have to put money in the slot for BBC programmes? The licence fee could be threatened by changing viewing habits.
It may well be that as people start to look to the internet as their principal source of entertainment, and we're probably talking 10 to 15 years down the line, that may change. But at the moment, the model for the BBC and the licence fee, I think, will stay remarkably stable.
Oh, please, listen, I'm being held hostage.
It's not only the characters in the soaps who can't break free. The brave new world of consumer choice is at odds with the evidence about very conservative viewing habits.
Don't be ridiculous, I was phoning the police.
The underlying facts are that normal television, scheduled TV, is still by far the main way we get our television content. So in 2009, for instance, 94% of all television consumed was consumed at the time it was meant to be consumed, when the scheduler told you to watch it.
That it's very interesting that right at the moment, Another part of Rupert Murdoch's News Corporation empire, the Sky Deutschland German satellite TV station, has just put out a profit warning. Its business is really struggling, essentially because the entire German television population is resistant to paying for content. They get a lot free, they have a very well-established cable system on which they get 30 or 40 channels essentially for nothing, and they don't really see that they need to pay for content. So it isn't a given that you can put something on telly, put a price tag on it and expect to make money.
What about you, sir? No? Wise move. So maybe we don't need to pass the bucket round just yet, which is probably just as well. There's not enough there to keep Jeremy in snuff for a fortnight. I'd like to think they didn't know I was collecting for Newsnight, but I've got a horrible feeling they knew exactly that.
Stephen Smith reporting, and we'd like to make it clear that all the money he collected was returned. He didn't want to return it, but he had to. I'm joined now by Roger Laughton, a former chief executive of Meridian Television and member of the ITV board between 1991 and 1999, and by Toby Syfret from the technology researchers Enders Analysis. Good evening, both of you. First of all, Roger Laughton, a small step towards ITV Pay TV?
Yes, I think it probably is in the long term. I mean, ITV knows that it can't rely on another advertising revenue recovery like this one. I mean, this time, the profits this year are something like a third or a quarter of what they were 4 or 5 years ago, and this 18% up on last year. So next time there's a downturn, it's going to be pretty dramatic. And what I think the management knows is it's got to find another source of revenue, and that's almost certainly pay TV.
But some of the material on ITV2 at the moment wouldn't necessarily be thought of as being enhanced, particularly by being HD.
Oh, that is true for some of the material, but I think a lot of the drama does look a lot better in HD. And I think one of the points to be made about this is ITV cannot launch ITV2, 3 or 4 over the terrestrial Freeview platform because the spectrum capacity, the capacity simply doesn't exist.
So there's no option?
So there's no option. And the point to realise about going pay TV, it's not people being asked to pay for these programmes. It's people on the Sky platform who are paying £10 a month extra for whatever they get in their basic, in their packages. And that includes a lot of channels. But if they have sports and music, sports and films, then that is one thing. But if they don't, why pay the £10? So for Sky, let's offer ITV2, 3, 4, because it helps boost it for the basic people, and for ITV, it's a good opportunity.
Well, it's a good opportunity, Roger, but it's not actually going to make it ITV a mint, isn't it? Because we don't know, obviously, how much Sky are paying for HD 2, 3 and 4 on ITV, but chances are it's not a shed load of money.
Absolutely right. Well, they're going to find out about pay TV in a way they haven't up to now. But I can foresee a time where it's perfectly possible they might think, but we're talking 5 years ahead. You know, why don't we make ITV1 on pay, and why don't we make the repeats the next day on the free-to-air? I mean, there are various models that you can see coming up in the future.
And these models will not necessarily exclude the BBC, because what about the idea of micropayments for particular events, particular, you know, fabulous dramas or whatever, that actually you build up a head of steam for that and then you make micropayments? What about the chance of that?
Well, I think you can try it, but I mean, I know it's been said by one person at Sky that micropayments equals micro revenues. And I think the point with a lot of these opportunities, including the present one, that they're marginal incremental revenues, but it offers a first step and it gives ITV a chance to explore some of the possibilities.
Well, if you look at what happened to newspapers, you can see that they're in the same dilemma. I mean, should they make it free, the Evening Standard given away, or do you put your content behind a paywall like Times have chosen to do? So that there's various models, and nobody's yet worked out what will happen when we're all digital. You drop the adjective digital and you say it's now media. How will it be? How will content be accessed?
Well, how will content be accessed? But how will content... Well, the other point about ITV, presumably, is that as well as changing the model at the edges here for HD, what also has to happen is that the content has to be changed, and you invest in content, and you don't have to buy content from indies, which then they, as a result of terms of trade, get all the money. So what ITV has to do, presumably, as a broadcaster, is build itself up again.
Well, ideally, but you need the best content. It's one thing to say, sort of, you know, just grow your own production arm and, you know, you'll have the best producers and the best talent. It doesn't work like that. People like to own their own talent. And if I'm ITV, I'm going to want the best programmes. And in an ideal world, I'll have a very large share of the profit that's made from my airtime. But I think they may want some of the secondary rights.
Chances of building up programming ITV again slim?
I think it is their best opportunity if they are going to get to their targets of making being less dependent on advertising. I think what everybody has said is that there's somehow dysfunctional between this company, which is both a broadcaster and a programme producer. The programme producers are thinking one thing, the broadcaster thinks another, and as Adam Crozier said this morning, they think about having time slots. What do we put in it? On the other hand, if we're thinking about making great programmes, perhaps that's the angle. So it's trying to get the two things to work more effectively together, I think, is the target, and they've got to try for it.
And keep the shareholders happy. Thank you both very much indeed.